gang, Ronan here, and as you can see in this game I am playing the Tier 5 Commonwealth Light Cruiser Delhi. This is a line of ships that I really have just started to explore, and in keeping with my recent looking at Tier 5 destroyers videos, I thought, you know what, I intended to move into cruisers next anyway. Why don't I start with Delhi and give everyone who hasn't had a chance to check these out a little bit an opportunity to do so here. This was a camouflage that I picked up in one of the events not too long ago in the run-up to the public release of all of these ships. And you know, originally I thought, you know, it's a little much, but I actually really like it in game. I think it looks fantastic. What can I tell you about the ship? Well, I'll give you all of the particulars, but let me start with the blurb from the World of Warships wiki to give you a little bit of context. Ships of the Leander class belong to a new generation of light cruisers. They significantly differed from their World War I predecessors, particularly in the placement of their main battery guns and turrets. From 1936, Achilles, a Leander class cruiser, served initially with the New Zealand Division of the Royal Navy and later with the Royal New Zealand Navy. In World War II, the ship took part in the Battle of the River Plate and the Pacific Campaign. In 1948, Achilles was handed over to the Indian Navy and renamed Delhi, serving for another 3 decades thereafter. Delhi was released as part of an early access event in patch 13.1. Now, as you can see, this ship does have a rolling smoke. If you're familiar with Perth, you're familiar with that. I did switch to AP here, trying to get a broadside shot. You can see he's trying to turn out and change that angle, but I do manage to equip him with one. And this was the first game I played in the ship. I'm trying to get a handle on the gun characteristics. You can see that I just whiff, I think, on this next shot. But look at the displacement of the shells. I mean, the sigma value is not bad. Yeah, he's a gunner. We'll get into that in just a minute as pick up a first blood. And well, now I know why he pushed in there, right? He had a DD right in front of him. I'm trying to avoid the second, and I just barely do, but I eat one of the torpedoes from Minakaze. So I know Minakaze's out here. I was trying to speed up to get away from that, which pushed me out of my smoke. I slowed that down. And you can see the torpedoes have decent range. I have to hope Mitsuki doesn't get in the way of all of them there. I do start a fire. I'm really hoping to follow that up with a flood, but no flood. Didn't really matter. Tiger is down. So the red team is down 3 ships. We're only down 1, but this game actually ended up being, at least in my opinion, a pretty good game. So I read you the blurb. Let's take a look at the guns. These are 152s. You got 3 turrets, 2 guns per turret. And here comes some more Minakaze torpedoes. You can see them out there. One of the things that this ship really suffers with, and in fact most of the ships in this entire line suffer with, is a very slow turret traverse. Very slow. You're going to need probably commander skills to help with that, as well as modules to help with that. And since my smoke has run out, I'm going to try and get behind this island because you can see quite a few ships there that if they put guns on me are going to finish me off. Those 2 battleships in particular, fortunately for me, the Tiger is firing at the Rio de Janeiro that's kind of between me and him. And I'm just trying to start fires. Alright, so the guns. 3 turrets, 2 barrels per turret. Reload time base is 6.6 seconds, which I think is actually pretty good. They hit fairly hard. Let's take a look at the maximum HE shell damage on these guns. It's 2100 HP with an 8% fire chance base. You know, stick a flag on it, you can get that a little bit better. So not bad at all. Initial HE shell velocity, 841 meters per second. And once I got the hang of these guns, I really liked them. For a Tier 5 cruiser, I think they're pretty effective. Okay, so AP shells. Max AP shell damage 2850, same 841 meters per second velocity, so you don't have to kind of rethink your firing angles, you know, based on whether you change between AP and AG. It's the same trajectory, the same initial velocity, which I think is a very good thing. Now, the torpedoes. Well, obviously, pretty nice range, right? I'm sure you saw that they got all the way out there and hit that battleship. So you're looking at a 10-kilometer torpedo range, 62 knot speed, maximum damage 15,433 per torpedo, and reload time base at 96 seconds, which you can see there on the bottom of your screen. AA defense, well, nothing to write home about, really, unfortunately, but that's true of most ships in the game. You do have the choice between having the hydroacoustic search and defensive fire. For your AA, I chose hydroacoustic search because tier 5, it really isn't going to matter if you have a CV in the game if they decide to target you. Defensive fire isn't going to help enough to merit it, and I thought the hydroacoustic search would be a better investment. So the AA, well, we can get into the average damage per second, 37.6 on the 102s, 34.8 on the 40 millimeters, and 36.6 on the 20 millimeter Oerlikons. Max speed, it's pretty healthy, 32.5 knots. You can increase that a bit with the speed flag. Surface detectability, oh, turning circle radius, really nice, 640 meters, which is great for a cruiser, at least in my opinion. That's really nice. But the rudder shift time is a little bit slow. You may decide you want to increase that. I think I did. You can take the acceleration, or you can take the maneuverability of the rudder shift speed increase, which is what I did. Now, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to box in the Minakaza. I could tell from his torpedo angle, where they were coming from, that he's probably trying to get around behind us. He's probably looking for our CV and or the opportunity to get into our cap. And if he's not familiar with the ship, I'm sure he was probably not expecting the hydro, which you can see he's smoked up. And the hydro is going to be up in about, well, there it is.
Torpedoes to starboard.
And I probably should have popped the hydro first, then used the torpedoes, but I wanted to make sure he couldn't stay in that smoke. And he doesn't really have a chance here. One more volley is all it's going to take. You can see he's trying to get his torpedoes away, but nope. All right, so one of the other things that this ship has, you can see along the bottom there, besides the hydroacoustic search and the rolling smoke, is the submarine surveillance. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's actually really nice. And although in this game it really didn't come into play, it's really handy. Now, how does it work? Well, with the Delhi and the Hobart, which is the tier 6 in this line, your submarine detection range, when you activate that, is 6 kilometers. It's got an action time of 20 seconds and a cooldown time of 120 seconds with 3 charges. And it will light up submarines. And you can see that you've got, along the bottom there, the ability to use airstrikes. So if you know that a sub, for example, you know that a red sub is pushing into some of your ships, you can move up that way, pop your submarine surveillance, everybody can see right where the sub is, and everybody can airstrike it into oblivion. Really nice. And in this line, the range is a little bit better at lower tiers than the regular tech tree ships that might have the same ability. For example, the standard tech tree cruisers and their clones at tiers 5 and 6 will have a 5-kilometer submarine detection range using something like this. The Delhi and the Hobart have 6 kilometers range. The tech tree cruisers that have this function at tiers 7 and 8 will have 6 kilometers of range. Uganda and Auckland, which is tier 7 and tier 8 in this line, will have 7 kilometers of range. And the tech tree tier 9 and tier 10 standard ships will have 7 kilometers of range. The Encounter and Cerberus, which are the cruisers in this line, will have 8 kilometers of range. So slightly better range in this line than any other available cruisers with the same submarine surveillance. I'm going to try and angle here to minimize damage from the incoming aircraft strike. And why did I come up here? Well, I wanted to see whether or not this AA did anything. Really hadn't had much of a chance. And to help out our Rio de Janeiro. He's big and a little bit less maneuverable. I was able to shoot down an aircraft. You can see I've got 6 so far, and I'm taking a look at whether or not I can get torpedoes through the gap. And I can't really do that without putting my ship in danger, so I decide instead to turn to starboard, and I'm going to run up this edge and try to get guns on Oklahoma, which is unfortunately going to take me out of the game for a minute or two. Now, our Rio de Janeiro player at one point, well, he gets a little bit ugly with me, feeling like I'm not contributing because I went this way. You will see, I mean, you already saw what happened to Omaha. If you were watching, you can see the shadow of his sunk ship at Delta 5. And our Marblehead follows in exactly the same way, right into the teeth of these 2 battleships up here. And I did not. You know, I've got this rolling smoke, and as long as the battleships are detected, I can get them burning and or hit torpedoes into them and do damage over time. So I'm sitting at 55,000 damage right now.
Get back.
And our Rio de Janeiro is just pushing through the gap, which I don't really understand, but, you know, to the player of the Rio, you know, you do you, and I'm sure you had a reason for it. Me, I wanted to protect our Langley. You can see he's getting closer and closer, and we got a battleship pushing up this way. Now, our our Matsuki just got too close. Marblehead got too close. Matsuki got sunk a minute or so ago, and Marblehead just got blapped. And I am determined that that is not going to happen to me, so I'm dropping my speed, using my smoke. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to turn away and slow down enough to be able to not get finished off. And do exactly what I'm doing now. Kite away, keep him burning, maybe get some torpedoes into his hull, and hoping that the Langley will help out as well. Now, I'm a little concerned because I'm watching Langley get closer and closer and closer to that battleship, and eventually he's going to get detected. So I really feel like it's incumbent upon me to finish off this Oklahoma before he finishes off our Langley. It's 3 ships to 3 ships. That's not a good thing. Rio fortunately finishes off their Corvette is my guess. And I am looking at what the Oklahoma is doing, and I'm saying, you know what, maybe one of those torpedoes will land. And our Rio's already upset, as you can see in the chat box there. And the Langley probably has realized, hey, I'm visible to this battleship now, and I have to help finish him off as a priority, and Rio is going to have to just be on his own for a minute. Well, not great damage from the torpedo, but at least there's some. Oklahoma is now accelerating. I do manage to light a fire on his tail, and I'll just keep putting shells on him, trying to hit the superstructure to be able to do damage in addition to starting fires. And Rio finally pushes out far enough to finish him off and and rob me of the satisfaction of finishing off Oklahoma. But I'm glad he did, because one more volley from the Oklahoma might have finished off our Langley. So good on you, Beer Gut 69. Even though you, in a moment, will be saying something pretty mean to me in the chat box, if you didn't already, and I missed it. There it is. You saw him pinging me on the mini-map, presumably thinking I wasn't doing anything. You know, I don't know whether it's a new player who just feels like, you know, hey, you're supposed to rush in and kill them or die trying. So, you know, I don't have any ill will toward Beer Gut 69, but he plays his ship the way he does, and I play my ship the way that I do. And at this tier, you never know whether you're dealing with somebody who, like myself, has well over 20,000 games played, or whether somebody just started playing a week ago. Well, there's not a whole lot more that's too exciting here. Rio is going to get an opportunity to finish off that CV. Plainly, it won't be me that finishes off the CV. Now, I wanted to get up here and help the Langley with AA in case the red CV decided to drop him, but not much chance of that. I realized that in the moment. With Rio bearing down, the red CV is going to want to try and sink him. That's going to be the priority. And you can see that the Langley's aircraft are now closing on the Red CV's position. They will soon light him up. And Rio is going to have, well, not exactly a 90-degree angle, but he's going to have some broadside to shoot into.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
No, it's going to end long before then. And there's going to be a follow-up shot here. Just long enough for Rio to change his angle. There it is. Langley got him. Okay, so we'll take a look at the numbers. My impression of the ship, fun to play, and I look forward to playing through the rest of the line. 84,000 damage, 166 shell hits. You can see most of them were pens. A couple of torpedoes, shot down some aircraft, incapacitations, a couple of ships finished off, 8 fires, Citadel, and spotted a few ships. Picked up the first blood achievement. Topped the scoreboard, 1374. Not great, nothing to be too excited about, but I still feel good about it. Tip of the hat to Arkansas and Rio, and also our Langley, and the Oklahoma player on the other team, Patton 61. Well played game. You can see the ships that I put shells on: Omaha, Moncasa, Oklahoma, Tiger, Congo, Emile Breton, and shot down some aircraft. Most of the shots I fired were HE, landed over half of them, and 10 out of 12 AP shells landed. A little bit of fire damage, a little bit of AA damage, some potential damage, and decent XP and credits. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it. If you did, I hope you like and subscribe. Maybe tell a friend. And I'll see you next time.